3-1 to start the year. Luke, the Lions are off to a great start. A lot of talk about Dan Campbell changing the culture in Detroit. How has that materialized on the field?
I mean, one, they're winning games, so that's first and foremost. But two, I look at this team and you look at their identity, and you saw it tonight. Their run game is dominant, and it's very creative. You see a lot of different combinations. They have gap schemes. They have power schemes. They do a little bit of zone. But to me, really the pulling guards here, I mean, you look at this situation. Laporta's doing a great job on the outside. They pull the guard here, and Montgomery fits in so well because he presses the hole. Again, later on here, now you're going to pull the guard and the tight end. And one of the guys we highlighted there that I really think is impressive is Laporta, because we're all talking about him as a receiving tight end.
Right.
He's mixing it up, and they're holding his own in the run game. I mean, the goal line runs were phenomenal. You love to see them score where your back's not even touched. That's toughness, and that wins football games in this league, especially late in the year. So to me, out of the 4 games the Lions have played this year, this was by far their best game, not just because they blew out an opponent, but because they really imposed their will on this team, which was an absolute statement, one that I did not think was going to come this early or at all. So I've got to own that one.
Okay, but at the same time, I know what you were thinking in that third quarter, and I know what all Lions fans were thinking in that third quarter. Same old Lions, right? Because they almost gave this one away again.
They did, and I was very nervous. You know, that third quarter comes, and I'm like, there's no way. It would have been kind of comical for us to chat about, but it did look ugly. What, to me, the difference between the same old Lions and this year's Lion team was the drive to start the fourth quarter. Listen to these numbers. 15 plays. 11 of those were rushes, 3 passes. 1 was the field goal. We saw the penalty earlier. 11 rushes. The whole drive went 8 minutes and 52 seconds and ended in a touchdown. I cannot stress enough as a player who's been on teams with Marshawn Lynch when we would talk about this. When you have an offense that can come out, okay, things did not go well in the third quarter.
Yep.
The old Lions would have been 3-and-out again, turned the ball over. The new Lions come out, I use the term impose your will, because that's a great football coach speak right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely dominate this line up front, rush the ball 11 times, take just shy of 9 minutes off the clock, and score a touchdown. That is playoff-caliber winning football. Something that, again, I'm a little surprised, but I'm happy because the Detroit Lions, they were them tonight. It was very different to see that team, you know, not have to deal with any issues, not have to kind of blame the refs or weird turnover.
Yep.
They just dominated.
They just got the win. Aiden Hutchinson, their young star, played excellent, a sack and a half, and he's standing by with Kaylee Hartung. Saw a lot of midriff there.
Yeah, what a ensemble they're going into a national television interview. I like that.
Sure, yeah,
a little
why not?
different, but
he's
I
going
like
for it.
Yeah.
He's going for it. He's got great personality. He mentioned Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers is kicking the Lions' butts for years and years and years. So now 4 games into the post-Aaron Rodgers era in Green Bay. Jordan Love, man, he's looked great. In some of these games, he's looked not so great. Like tonight, what's your impression so far?
You know, I think if you're a Packers fan, there's a lot of reason for positivity. There's obviously some bad things that we saw tonight. But overall, you talk about resiliency. Last week, they came down from, down 17, came back and won.
Yeah.
Tonight, I mean, at halftime, that had the makings of a 40-point loss written all over it. And for them to come out in that third quarter, and I think the mistakes will be cleaned up. I mean, this is a great play, and the Lions defense really showed up tonight. And I also thought Jordan Love didn't have a ton of help with regards to his offensive line. But like I said, it was a tale of kind of 2 halves for him. He can rush the ball, which we see here for a nice touchdown. To me, if I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, I'm pretty excited with everything I've seen. They've got to iron out some of his mistakes, the interceptions, and I think the next step for this offense would be to be a little more comfortable throwing the ball down the field.
Right.
We saw a little bit of that. He struggled a bit with that, but the arm strength is clearly there. And the last thing I say, which is impressive about him, is he really seems to control situations. I know it was a penalty, but the end of the third quarter, he knew his situation. He gets guys in line. If you see him doing those hand signals, that's not necessarily coming in, into the ear, into the microphone. He's doing a lot of that potentially on his own. And to get everybody organized, a guy who hasn't played a ton, it's impressive.
You always talk about how important that is for quarterbacks to understand the situation. a quarterback who doesn't seem to understand any situation. Zach Wilson, his New York Jets will be taking on the